What question do little kids ask more than any other question? Well, if you said the question why, I think you've probably gotten it right. Welcome back to the second of four of our summer ministry fellowship studies entitled Worshiping Together on Psalm 96. Now, in this study, we're going to ask the question, why should we worship? And the psalmist answers that for us. So if you haven't turned there already, take your Bible to Psalm 146. We've already considered the first three verses, but we'll consider verses 4 to 6 tonight, but I want to read beginning in verse 1 through verse 6. Psalm 96, I'll begin in verse 1 and read through verse 6. Oh, sing unto the Lord a new song. Sing unto the Lord all the earth. Sing unto the Lord, bless his name. Show forth his salvation from day to day. Declare his glory among the heathen, his wonders among all people. For the Lord is great and greatly to be praised, for he is to be feared above all gods. For all the gods of the nations are idols, but the Lord made the heavens. Honor and majesty are before him. Strength and beauty are in his sanctuary. Now, there are four reasons the psalmist gives us why God is to be worshiped, why we should worship God. The first is this: God is great. Again, look in your Bible, verse 4. For the Lord is great and greatly to be praised. Now, you have this to talk about in your notes. What are some ways in which God surpasses all else? Are you ready to find the second reason why we should worship God? Look in your Bible again. We read in verse 4, for the Lord is great and greatly to be praised, for he is to be feared above all gods. For all the gods of the nations are idols. The Jewish people were surrounded by nations that did not follow the one true God. In the New Testament world, there were many gods. Polytheism was practiced, and those did not know the one true God as well. So God is to be feared above all gods. Now, you have on your handout the My God is Greater Than Your God study. I want you to record and report your findings. You'll see you'll identify the false god, describe the false god, and then in contrast, would you describe the true God? Now, your Bible study leader will direct you on how to do this. You may want to do it as a whole group. You may want to divide into smaller groups. However your study leader leads you to do it, in the end, I want you to make sure you have your chart filled out, and I'll give you plenty of time to do this study, and I'll look forward to hearing about your findings. Well, do we have idols today? Even in the USA, do we have idols of the heart that we worship above the one true God? Well, today, here's your study. You're going to discuss what are false idols and why is God greater. Now, I want you to think about this from the little kids. What are idols of the heart that a little kid can have, a young person can have? Really, all stages and ages of adults. What are idols of the heart that we can have? And then I want you to discuss, why is God greater? It's a lot to think about, but I know you will think deeply and profoundly, and in so doing, you're going to challenge one another to worship God. I wish I could have been with you to have heard your thoughtful responses, to be with you as you grew deeper in your understanding and challenged one another to worship God and love him more deeply. Well, there's a third reason why we should worship the one true God. We read about it in verse 5. We read already in verse 4 that he is to be feared above all gods. And then verse 5, for all the gods of the nations are idols, but The Lord made the heavens. Here's the third reason that we should worship the one true God. God is the creator. Now think about this, that verses 4 and 5, there's a contrast there of false idols of the nations and the true God of the Bible. Now, list some contrasts between false gods and the true creator, and think about this. What difference does it make to authentic worship? Pause the video, and I'll join you when you are done discussing that question. Well, there's a final reason why we should worship God that the psalmist gives us in verse 6 of Psalm 96. Let me read the scriptures to you. Honor and majesty are before him. Strength and beauty are in his sanctuary. Here's the reason why we should worship God. God is glorious. There's a paragraph that I've included in your notes. Follow along as I read it. The sanctuary is the place where God's presence resides. In the heavenly sanctuary, God's presence and glory is fully revealed. In the earthly sanctuary of Israel, where God would meet with men in worship, men could experience in part the transforming presence of God. Even today, worshiping God, when we see him as he truly is, changes the worshiper and honors God. There is a beautiful psalm by David. It's Psalm 63. He was in the wilderness of Judah. He was a king who was under attack by enemies. And while he's in the Judean wilderness, he reflects on his desire to know God. You have one more assignment that you're going to do before you pray tonight. Tonight, I want you to say it and pray it. Read Psalm 63, 1 through 4 aloud together, and then pray the psalm in groups. Make it a time to seek the Lord and renew your passion to know him. Now, your Bible study leader will organize you in doing this, and however the leader wants to do it, they will do a great job with it. But I want to say to you this. I want to say thank you for making the investment in your own growth and in others in these summer ministry fellowships. And I'll look forward to sharing with you next week as we return to the subject of worshiping together.